Okay, cool. So welcome everyone to today's Zoom topic, which is burning calories and calories in total. Was another suggestion from you guys inside the program. So obviously it's important to keep up with, what you guys want to learn about and things that will be helpful for you in your journey. And obviously if anyone's watching this as external, you might find this helpful as well. So today we're not just going to talk about burning calories. By the way, if the audio is a little muffled, I mean I'll know once I've kind of uploaded this. Got the fan on behind me because it's boiling. But yeah, burning calories. So first of all, before we actually understand or like dive into burning calories, we have to understand first like what is a calorie. Okay. So a calorie is a unit of energy found within food and drink. So it's a measure of energy. Um, it's a measure of energy. There's like no other way that I can say it. So who actually decided what a calorie is and what that looks like? So we know what weight is, we know what, fluid is and how much things weigh, but who actually decided what a calorie was? So we're going to go into a little bit of the history of a calorie. Because I think that's important as well, because you want to be able to understand where a calorie comes from, to actually understand where all of this thing on social media is about weight loss, weight gain, calories in, calories out. It's quite important to understand how this works, okay? So in 1863, a calorie was defined as the heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 kg of water from 0 to 1 degree Celsius. So the energy that it took to raise the temperature of water. Then by 1887 to 1894, it was then used for human energy needs and what we know today as the human energy calorie. So back in 1863, it was more towards like heat engines and engines. So how much heat you would need to raise the temperature of water. So obviously that was quite important back in those days in terms of their engines and how they ran energy. But more so on to the future, it then became for human as well. So I had like a little paper if you want to look talk like a brief little history. You can obviously search that up. If you want the link, you can message me. So that's kind of the history of the calories. So we understand it's about burning, which then brings us to this, which is the Atwater system. So this was around the same time period, in the 1800s, which is crazy when you think about it, because by the time we're at, the 20th century, and we're now at, 2025, we're using something that was made like 50 years, 150 years ago, 100 years ago. And we're still using it to this day. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, we then get to the Atwater system, which actually defines and has tested that a single gram of protein is worth 4 calories. Carbohydrates is 4 calories. Fat has 9 calories, and alcohol is 7 calories as well. So obviously, a protein, a carbohydrate, fats, they were all a calorie was obviously they were burned and then out of the burning, and how those responded to like combustion was how they then decided or came to the conclusion of how many calories each macronutrient cost. So that's how we kind of get to those figures. So what does that actually mean? Why is that actually relevant? There was no point going through a history lesson because we don't actually know what any of that means. We just know what that calorie is and how they found it out because they like lighting food on fire and seeing how long it burned for, essentially. But what does it actually mean for you? It means that we can calculate what is consumed and what is being burned so we can achieve our specific goal. Calories are burned through survival, but also carrying out day-to-day tasks, activities, and exercise. So this is how we burn calories and how we burn energy. Because at the end of the day, it's a measure of energy. So that's how we need to see calories. So this is our total daily energy expenditure. Shout out to the person that I plagiarized on Google. Thanks for this amazing chart. Really helpful. Shout out to you. So TGE, total daily energy expenditure. This is how we burn calories throughout the day, and this is the impact that we actually have on burning calories. So your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, is your everyday survival. This is what we need just to keep our body running. That can contribute to 50 right up to 75% of our daily energy expenditure. So actually, when you look at that, you go, oh my God, like most of the calories that I burn is just on surviving. You then get to TEF, which is the thermic effect of food, and that's just consuming, digesting food. Okay. So yeah, it actually costs energy and it actually costs calories to eat and digest food. And then we get onto the controllables, the non-exercise activity thermogenesis or NEAT, which is walking around, low level activity, up and down the stairs, going to the toilet, whatever it is, low intensity exercise. And then we get exercise activity thermogenesis. So the calories we burn in exercise. So that's how our calories are burned throughout the day. Those four factors. And you can see the percentages of those. And again, what does that actually lead to? What does that mean? It means that 20 to 30% of our total energy expenditure is controllable through activity and exercise. Your BMR and TEF comes down to age, gender, and genetics, which makes it extremely hard or not possible to control. But we can control 20 to 30%. So, what is the best way to burn calories? What is that 20 to 30%? How can we make the most of that 20, 30%? And in some studies, we can go up to 50% because the more you work, the more that you'll be burning, right? So what is the best way? So there was a study published on Harvard's website, and they looked at the most calories burned in 30-minute activities. And what's really good about this study, or what they found in this, is they actually compared it with people with different weights. So you can see 125 pounds, 155 pounds, 185 pounds people. So it's a mix of men and women. And you can see how actually in each different section, depending on your weight, how many more calories it burned. So no, there's loads of different factors. We're not here to talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's just interesting to have a look and see, okay, cool. So what is the best way? By the way, I'll leave the link to this in the description and I'll send it in the group chat after, just if anyone wants to have a look at it. So what is the actual best way? So coming down to specifically gym activities, because they got everyday activities, they got sports like outdoor sports and stuff on there as well. But looking at gym activities, these were the top four. And in the top five, rowing was there as well. So using the rowing machine. That was very close. That was in the top five. So the top three is actually bicycle, being on the bicycle stationary. It's vigorous. So that's high intensity cycling. We're talking about like a spin class. And you can see there in half an hour, 441 calories burned. Then we've got aerobic step. It's like a step class, which is high impact, 420 calories. A ski erg or a ski machine, 399. This is the higher weight people. And the elliptical trainer, so the elliptical. So, I mean, this is all well and good. But what's really important here is that, it's quite high intensities and it's, doing it for a long period of time. So that would be like your best way if you were looking at just burning calories. But what does it not show? It doesn't show your injury, for example, if you're injured, what you can and can't do. It doesn't take into consideration fitness level. So if you're actually able to perform these exercises, it doesn't consider preference, so what you're actually able to stick to, which then leads to sustainability. Okay. And then five, being a human being. All right. Now, I know at the start of this, the whole point of this episode or this talk was about what is the best way to burn calories, or what is burning, or how to burn calories, or the most efficient way to burn calories, whatever. Before we do that, or before we finish on that, you just have to remember that these are all numbers and figures, and at the end of the day, we're human beings. And actually, just by doing the things that we enjoy is good enough. Because obsessing over numbers like that, you'll probably last a month or two, and then you'll crash because you're so obsessed with getting this figure, this thing that, may not be obtainable. These are just figures, okay? We are human beings, we're not robots. So just because your watch tells you that you slept for 4 hours and you're obsessed with, that's giving you the anxiety that you can't even sleep at night because you're trying to get this good score. Focus on being a human being, and don't forget that. But anyway, regardless, reel in the real talk, because that can get deep. We're not here for that. We just want to know how to burn calories, right? But yeah, those are also things to consider. So these may not be appropriate to you. So what do? Mix it up. Okay. So again, you can go back, do some research yourself. There's research out there that shows that HIIT exercise, because you're crossing over resistance training and it's high intensity interval training, you've got the resistance there, and you've got weights, and you've got aerobic training as well. So the combination of those two in 30-minute short burst sessions actually showed to burn the most amount of calories in that time frame. Yeah. Cardio, as we've just seen, all of those in the top five are cardio exercises. So making sure you get your cardio in every day. But most importantly, and we'll touch up on here, don't worry, we'll go on here again. But no, most importantly, is reducing your calorie intake. If a 30-minute HIIT session was to burn 300 calories, there's no point then, spelling mistake or typo, going home and eating 3 biscuits to put it back into the tank. You'll get stronger, you'll get fitter, you'll feel more confident, but you won't lose weight because all of the energy that you've just expended, all of the energy that you used on survival, energy expenditure, getting activity done, is then just going to be replaced and refueled by the food you just consumed. And like I know that like social media can make this confusing. People will say fancy words. We can go into the scientific X, Y, and Z about all of this. And trust me, like I've been there, I'm not waving my flag here, but I did study nutrition. It's just you just have to simplify it because overcomplicating it makes it confusing. And just like, being obsessed with the numbers or the figures, you just burn out. Just keep it simple. There's no point burning all those calories if you're then going to replace it with biscuits. Okay? You may as well just not eat the biscuits and not do any work. So going back to the HIIT, it's an open Q&A. So you had one of the questions was, like what would a HIIT workout look like? So a HIIT workout, especially if you're kind of looking at 30-minute sessions, if you're trying to aim for those like 300 calories or whatnot, you're talking about things like mountain climbers, kettlebell swings, bent over rows, clean and press, push-ups. If you have access to a gym, battle ropes, sprinting on the bike, ski erg, incorporating those different things, doing it like a little circuit. You want a mixture of weightlifting and things that you can like lift that are heavy, but also a little bit of cardio in there. So if you're doing like sprints or the agility ladder, or something like that, that would kind of be like your HIIT session. And that in combination is really time effective, but also really good for burning calories specifically. So if you want to burn calories, get more HIIT workouts in and get more cardio in. 30 minutes of cardio a day, 30-minute HIIT workout, you're going to be burning calories. But again, the most important thing, there's no point doing all of that if you're then going to replace it with the wrong food. There's nothing wrong with fueling your body and you need energies to survive, as we've seen here. Okay? You need it to survive, you need your BMR, so you need to eat food for that. But you won't be losing weight if you're filling your body with the wrong food because you're just going to replace all those calories very, very quickly. There's no other questions. Then what we will do, there's no more in the chat. So what I'll do is I'll end this one here. For those of you that are watching, if you have any comments, obviously drop a comment below. For those on Spotify, thank you for listening, sticking around. Make sure you leave a 5-star on the Spotify. I've never done this before. I'm going to start doing it. Make sure you leave a 5-star on the podcast review and drop a follow if you're liking these podcasts. Same on YouTube. Drop a subscribe, like, and all the good stuff. But yeah, for those of you that are in the program, obviously drop a message in the group chat. Message me, let me know if you've got any questions. I'll try and drop the link in the description. I'll drop the link for that in the group chat. So yeah, we'll get on with the Q&A. For the rest of you, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.